Hi there YouTube, Mark Vergeer here with my video on the PlayStation. The PlayStation has turned 25 years old, more or less today. December 3rd, 1994 in the States, I think. It may actually have been a year later over here in PAL territories. I'm not sure. Perhaps it was released all over the place. Now, I could go grab my PlayStation. Most of you guys know what a PlayStation looks like, and this video is just a waffle of me remembering the PlayStation and being amazed that it actually is 25 years ago that it was released to the public. 25 years. That's just crazy. Now, I do have I do have a special shirts that with console themes, but this actually is the GameCube one. I should have wore the I should have worn the PlayStation themed one, but yeah, this is just what happens with these ad hoc videos. But yeah, the PlayStation, a very cool system. Um, it's a system that totally got me interested in console gaming again. Back then, I was a PC gamer. I was actually flipping PCs. I always had a main system, a system going out, and a system coming in. And the 3D hardware graphics were just on. They were perpetually increasing in capabilities. The processors were and the RAM, everything was just going in such a speedy fashion, the upgrades, that it was very hard to keep up if you didn't stick to the high end stuff. Um, and it was just very tiring keeping up with all these upgrades, and you never knew if you would be able to enjoy the game as intended. Your system could be too slow, could easily be too slow, the processor or the video card. It would just be too slow. So with the PlayStation, it was very easy to just stick in a disc and have the game run at the intended settings and speed and whatever that the developers intended. So you would actually be offered a fixed experience, and I had been enjoying the Super Nintendo, even the Nintendo 64. But the thing with the Nintendo and the Mega Drive was that the PAL releases were lesser ports with big bars underneath and below, the screen looking a bit squashed, and the game actually running noticeably slower. Now that didn't seem to be as prevalent in the PlayStation experience. Now, it is a fact that the PlayStation NTSC games actually run a bit faster, but still, you had full screen, and everything was just a very solid experience. And I had a very tiny Sony Trinitron, and actually you can see it over there. That's actually the Sony TV that I had back in the day. I hooked it up with a SCART RGB cable, and I had it modded so it would be able to run NTSC Japanese games. And the Sony PlayStation looked excellent on the little Sony Trinitron system, and just an amazing little setup that was. And I mean, the graphics are very jumpy. The PlayStation used excessive dithering to make up for the lack of colors. That's all very apparent if you hook it up to a huge large screen TV, but it is not so apparent on this small little device. And I've been playing a ton of games. I've been playing through Silent Hill, actually when running a fever and being totally out of my mind from fever actually, and that actually gave the whole Silent Hill experience a bit of an edge. Gran Turismo, Gran Turismo 2, Tekken 3, Robotron, a lot of great games, and you could actually rent those games in video stores. VHS video rental stores were still a thing. You could actually rent DVDs, and you could rent video games, and you could rent VHS. And I would just go to the video rental store every week and just borrow some or rent some more PlayStation games. And the games that I really liked, I ended up buying secondhand. Sometimes I ripped them um, because yeah, the chip on the system actually made it possible to burn them as well. On my Philips 3610 IDE double speed CD-ROM burner, but actually I ended up buying most of the games. And gee, I find it just incredibly weird that it actually has been 25 years when it was released. I got it, I think, about a year and a half after it was released, because I just thought of it as yeah, another Super Nintendo. Even the ports on the front look similar, and but actually when the dual analog controllers came out with the dual analog sticks, I really thought that was a huge improvement, and I could envision twin stick shooters, and yeah, I thought that was a major improvement over the, well, more or less Super Nintendo like original all digital controllers that the system came with. Now, I myself, I'm not a big fan of Wipeout. I just, perhaps it's a bit controversial, but I'm just not a big fan of these Magneto racers. I like F Zero, Zero FX, but I'm just not a fan of Wipeout. I am a big fan of Ridge Racer, but over here in our neck of the woods, I believe Wipeout was one of the release titles that it came out with. Now, I do have Wipeout. I have quite a few of the Wipeout games, but not a big fan, so I'm just not playing them a lot. I have a ton of Japanese SMUPs. The system was very good at 2D shooters, and a lot of the shooters actually had amazing 3D effects. And um, I just was amazed by the level of depth. I mean, the PlayStation, these black discs were sort of magical. They look like CDs, but they were CDs, but they were kind of magical. But the games contained on them were as expansive and as big as the games that you would find on the PC. So you could sink hours and hours, tens of hours. You could spend in a game, and it would just go on forever. And the cutscenes, the yeah, just the sheer size of the games, and the sheer library of games that was available, and the fact that it was marketed at a more, it was marketed at me. I was a young adult back then, and it was marketed two young adults with disposable income, and yeah, it made gaming fashionable again. It made gaming something that you would actually do even when you're an adult, and even when you're not a computer geek, because to be able to play games on a PC, you really had to know your config sys and auto exec bots and your high memory, your memory expand. I mean, that all changed with the onset of Windows 95 and stuff, but still, PCs were quite a big hassle to keep up. I never really stopped PC gaming. I do love to tinker. I do love to, you know, maximize the frame rate and the experience and stuff. But with the PlayStation, you could just plug it in, insert the disc, press power, press start, and off you go. And that continued with the PlayStation 2. Which is also getting long in the tooth, might actually be 20 years old. But yeah, and so the Sony brand always, I always had a soft spot for the Sony brand, and still to this day, I mean, I quite like the PlayStation brand, and yeah, I'm just a big fan of the dual stick controller. This is the PlayStation 4's one. I mean, the dual stick controller pretty much kept its shape over the years. It pretty much was perfect, and yeah. So this is just me remembering some of the PlayStation things, a bit of a waffle, a bit of me yapping about what made the system so special. I mean, I did like, whatever. I just can't speak anymore. But yeah, I mean, the design of the system, it was not a kid's system. It was a grown-up design, a sleek gray little box with some accent colors, and yeah, it was a grown up gaming system that was not only for kids but also for adults, young adults, playing the games. And I guess the PlayStation really got me back into the gaming side of things, the collecting of older consoles, newer consoles. I think it really kickstarted what I'm still doing to this day, playing games on consoles, playing games on PCs. I mean, I love PCs. I love emulation on PCs. I love good old games. I love Steam. I play a ton of games on PC, and I do like to tinker. But the console, that is the easiest experience to just, you just play the game. Although Steam has improved greatly, you just double click an icon and you're off too. But still, a lot of the times there's issues with games, and of course you have that on console as well. But yeah, I just love everything there is about gaming, and I do not pick a side. I'm not a member of the PC Master Race, nor am I a console peasant. So I'm both. Anyways, that's just me and Mr. Chicken and Mr. Dragon, reminiscing about the PlayStation and the fact that it has turned 25 years old. That's just insane. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another video. Ta-ta!